Why is Stalin opposing the third language? Today with his tweet, his opposition is very clear. It's crystal clear. He's saying no to third language. Keep Hindi aside. It's just the mother tongue in English. Why has he taken this position? That's one. And the second is the tweet he has made. I think that sort of in a disparaging way, he has used the word Hindi to be used for Pani Puri in toilets. I mean to say this was completely uncalled for.
Okay. Hi, thanks for having me on the show. Kartikeya, first question. Why is Stalin now categorically rejecting the third language policy on the whole? Till yesterday, the narrative was stop Hindi imposition because it was all about the elections are less than a year away, and Hindi resistance has been a working formula for the DMK in its previous avatars. So it's understandable that they had to set the agenda starting now for Tamil Nadu as we go forward and put the BJP, which has been making strides in the state, put it on the defensive. So the idea is to present the central government as a villain, and what better way than to start the narrative of Hindi imposition again. But the problem was it was quickly countered because the national education policy does not say you have to learn Hindi. It does not mandate Hindi as the third language. It says learn one extra language. It can be anything. It can be Manipuri. It can be Sikkimese. Learn one extra Indian language in school, in government run schools where free education is provided. They want you to provide that one extra language. Stalin does not want that now because till yesterday he was saying we oppose the policy because of Hindi. Now he cannot go back completely, so he has to say, hey, wait, we oppose the policy anyway, Hindi or not. But the pejoratives, yes, very unfortunate, but Kartikeya, and to the panelists here and to the people watching, you have to know that that is the general perception in Tamil Nadu. We do not use Hindi for anything other than to speak to Hindi migrants and Hindi street vendors. So just like how Indians used to be seen as cab drivers in New York just a decade ago, I'm not justifying it. I'm just telling you how it is on the streets. The perception that we don't really see what the benefit of Hindi is to Tamil speaking people. We don't see too many people writing UPSC exams or becoming national level operators in any capacity. We don't see cops in Delhi. We don't see, central government employees. And there are, and they seem, everybody learns every language when it comes to a requirement. But the people we see in Tamil Nadu, that's what I'm saying. We don't see these people. The people we see speaking in Tamil Nadu are the people who are migrant vendors, street vendors, or migrant laborers. Okay. So I think that kind of seep through. Again, it's very unfortunate. Head of state, a chief minister should not have chosen such language. But this is what's going on.
Absolutely. See, there are three sides to this story. One, you are opposed to the third language. Second, you have taken a position around Hindi, understandable election around. And the third, the tweet. BJP leaders advocating Hindi insist you must know Hindi to buy tea, pani puri or use toilets in North India. Nothing is written without any intention, When chief ministers, powerful politicians write and put out a tweet like that, it has a text and a subtext. Isn't that, Mr. Upadhyay?
Thank you, Karthikeyan, for having me. I think this has a whole background to this, discussion. Let me start with this three-language formula. I know why Stalin is, taking on Hindi because there is a whole history behind it. Before that, let me point out this so-called three-language formula has been a hoax as far as the South is concerned. It's only the southern states which have implemented it. So can you please tell me whether in UP or Bihar or Madhya Pradesh or Rajasthan, which is the third language being taught? Are they being taught any other language other than Hindi and English?
Sanskrit.
Do they
Sanskrit.
ever get to learn any of the South Indian languages? So this is one of the issues which riles the South Indians, because they say for the last so many decades we are sincerely learning Hindi and we make an attempt to learn Hindi
Just a
and
small
also
just a
interact with
small
the
intervention.
central government in
I'm not
Hindi.
just a small intervention. I, as
Yeah.
a student in 1980s, I studied in Sardar Patel Vidyalaya in Delhi. I was given 4 options. I'm not saying that if this is true for me, it's true for everyone in Uttar Pradesh and Bihar. I'm just saying that Gujarati, Urdu, Tamil, and Bengali. I was too afraid to study Tamil. I found it difficult. I had no idea of what Urdu would be because the whole script was different. Gujarati textbooks were this big. So as a child, I went for Bengali. I found the letters familiar and I found the course books shorter. So this is how I as a student made my choice without informing my parents that Bengali is going to be my third language, and I did that. And let me tell you, and for 3 years, I consistently gave retests. I'm being very honest. For 3 years, I consistently gave retests. Every time they just pushed me that he has done well in other subjects, but he's flunking his Bengali. So there are other things when you introduce languages. People don't talk about that. It's tough for children when you introduce them to classical languages in 5th or 6th. People have even not touched that issue. When they're supposed to study the language, because language is culture, word is the world, and the world is the word. People don't even talk about that. But anyway, Mr. the point I'm trying to make is I have done that. I have gone through that rigmarole for 3 years.
Let me point out, Karthikeyan, you have studied in one of the probably very good schools which offered a multiple languages, which is not the case in the majority of schools. You either you have a third language which is supposed to be in South especially it is Hindi. Very clearly it is Hindi, and a lot of people have taken third language as Hindi. But my point is just that there is so much of resentment when the central government says that you must learn Hindi. You see, there is no operational requirement for Hindi in the South.
Yes.
When the metro started about a decade ago in Bangalore, they tried to name some of the stations, in Hindi. They started making announcements in Hindi. People said, look, why Hindi here? We need Kannada and English. That's more than enough. And if there is third language is required, it should be Tamil or Telugu. They are the majority of people, not Hindi speaking. And then, there was so much of hullabaloo about this, and it was all removed. You see, this comes because of, trying to impose it. The fact of the matter is, when the central government or, people started saying, hey, why don't you learn Hindi? People say, why? Why should I learn? I don't have any need for it. And in spite of the fact that the South Indians make an all-out effort to learn language, this is a kind of insulting treatment that they get. But apart from that, I want to get into the issue why Stalin has taken up this issue, because he's on a very sticky wicket and he knows this election is going to be do or die for him. And there's a history of an anti-Hindi agitation in Madras and Tamil Nadu. I mean, everybody knows in 1963 how there was a huge agitation which led to riots in 1965 when 70 people were killed. And the government of India had to give an assurance under Lal Bahadur Shastri that we will not impose Hindi. This was what Jawaharlal Nehru had given that assurance in the to the south, and he had died in '64. And there was an attempt to impose Hindi on the south. And Lal Bahadur Shastri was also very keen on imposing it. And after these riots, it was taken back. And after that, also there have been constant demand about Hindi being called the national language. I mean, this is another issue which South doesn't agree. No, it's not a national language. It's one of the official languages.
It's whether it's a linked language, those are different nomenclatures. Let me introduce Nirmal Ibrahim.
Yes, I agree. But there is no national language. I think people have to be clear.
I think the word which is used is Raj Kaj ki bhasha. But anyway, again, I will not take that debate there because it's a different it's a different chapter altogether.
It makes South Indians very emotive on this issue.
But Nirmal, is it about Hindi? Is it just about the coming elections? Because I don't see it in isolation. Even Udayniti Stalin and the position he has taken vis-a-vis Sanatan Dharma, they fall into one space. But the Hindi debate is not separated from the positions Udayniti has taken on Sanatan Dharma. I don't think they are in parallel ecosystem. It's one thing, Nirmal.
Yeah, I think there are two reasons why they've taken this stand, especially because, as one of the panelists rightly pointed out, DMK is actually on a sticky wicket. They were struck in the midst of many controversies before they could bring this up and heat up this issue. For instance, someone mentioned the transportation of illegal drugs, illegal alcohol, safety issues. We all read about a bunch of DMK flag holders chasing a woman in a car. We learned about Kalpana Naik, a police officer who says her life is in danger because she exposed certain anomalies within the department. So there were many issues surrounding the DMK that was actually tarnishing their reputation. But thankfully for them, this issue they got heated up and they were able to bring this up. And the beneficiary in this case, I would say, is both the BJP and the DMK. They will both benefit slightly, although not as much as they did in 1965, because back then Hindi was actually, they were trying to impose Hindi back then. But now, as Ms. Kasturi mentioned, Hindi is not imposed. It is, you could learn any regional language for that matter. So that's one. The second thing is, for me, I would have advocated for the DMK if it was a matter of principle for them. But from judging from what has happened in the last few weeks and what I've heard from their party members, I do not stand with what they say, because if Hindi is a matter of principle, they would not have taught it in private schools, apparently owned by some of the DMK ministers and leaders.